Corella, aka Jimbo Pickleball. I'm here with a special guest, Ben Bramblett, who is a good friend of mine and does multiple things for the PPA Tour. One that he is a digital content person for, is it 41 Media? Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. And he's got some special clients. Ben, tell us a little bit about who your clients are and what you do for them.
My clients are all pro pickleball players. I do social media content for Ainley Waters, Rafa Hewitt, and Christian Alshon. And I just kind of follow them around, shoot videos, shoot pictures, and make posts for them.
Okay, cool. What's it like having Annalie Waters, number one player in the world by far, as one of your the people that you do work for?
It's definitely a big blessing. It's a lot of fun. It's very crazy. Overall, having three players to follow and having them be professional pickleball players, just because I'm kind of on the same schedule they are. So it's a lot of traveling, um, a lot of trying to, squeeze videos into a very short time frame because players don't have a whole lot of time. But also, it's just very fun because the pickleball industry as a whole is very fun. The tournaments are great and really enjoyable to watch. Some of it's the best quality pickleball in the world. So I enjoy coming to tournaments and working with them. And then working with AL specifically has been great. She's very well media trained. I think it almost kind of comes naturally for her. And I know pickleball comes naturally for her as well, but she's also good at the social media content. And she's got a great family and just a pleasure to.
Mhm. I would say that she looks very comfortable in front of the camera. When I see her interviewed, she just, like you said, I think she's a natural. So beside that, you're also on the PPA tour. So tell us a little bit about your playing. I know you're out there trying to qualify right now.
Yeah. Well, I wish you could say I was on the PPA tour technically. I'm not signed with them or anything, but I have been doing the pro qualifiers for a while. I played a lot last year and did fairly well. I had a couple main draw qualifications, and I'm just getting back into it this year. I took some time off, and I'm definitely getting humbled. Um, just in the span of those, 3 or 4 months that I took off, all this new talent is coming in. People are seeing that they can get into pickleball and do fairly well if they had a high level tennis background. And so there's a lot of good athletes coming in, and the depth of the talent is getting uh, a lot bigger. So
Yeah. A lot of young, I noticed a lot of young people coming in, who just upset Ben John. Was it a 16, 17-year-old guy?
yeah, John Gollins. Hmm.
Yeah. That was amazing to take down the GOAT like that.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah.
I actually played him at an APP almost 2 years ago. Um, and I remember thinking, it's really hard to size people up in pickleball, but he was just kind of a skinny kid. He was 2 years younger than he is now, so I was very surprised at how athletic and talented he was when we played.
Yeah, that's interesting. So another question I had for you, and I sent these earlier, is like, what changes would you make on the PPA tour to improve maybe the fan experience? Is there anything?
The fan experience, I think the PPA does a fairly good job with the fan experience. If I was to be critical of anything, it might be the amateur experience as far as those who are playing, because I've heard a lot of complaints about that. But I think they do a pretty good job with the fan experience at the tournaments. The only
Yeah.
thing I can say is I wish that there were more fans coming to watch. And I think pickleball is super fun to watch in person. The crowds are so animated, so hyped at the tournaments. because you can see the speed of the game and the talent that everyone has. If anything, if the PPA can figure out how to translate that in-person experience into their online and pickleball TV broadcasts and stuff like that, I think that would take pickleball to a different level because it just doesn't feel the same on television.
Yeah, interesting you say that because, obviously I've watched a bunch, but I've also been in a ton of tournaments and played in a few. And you're right, the speed and the athleticism, that's what shocks me when I went to the first couple of professional tournaments was the athleticism of the pro players.
Right.
You just cannot understand how athletic these people are. You've got world-class athletes that are playing in a small court. So nothing's going to get by. Amazing hands. It's frightening to see. It's frightening to see.
Yeah.
So you're around the tour a lot. Um, what's going on behind the scenes that you can share without getting in trouble, that you see is happening that's kind of interesting.
Well, I can share some stuff that would get me in trouble, but you have to come see it in person to but I'll say one thing, Jim. Some of the best matches and the best drama and stuff like that happens on the grandstand courts and the side courts that aren't really getting viewership, that aren't getting like streamed on the central court on TV. Um, and then also the pro players themselves. It's really cool to see how friendly everyone is with each other. Like like just today after some of my matches, a lot of the pros are starting to trickle in, from traveling here, and they'll just kind of show up and play with each other. Like for example, Federico Staksrud and Christian Alshon were playing warm up matches this morning. That could easily be a championship Sunday matchup, you know. But these guys know each other. A lot of them are friends, or at least good acquaintances for the most part, and they all practice and train with each other. Um, like just another example, I live in South Florida, and Ben Johns just moved down there, and I was at some courts, and it was Ben Johns and Gabe Tardio playing against Hayden Patrick Quinn and Federico Staksrud.
Wow.
So I don't know if pro tennis. I don't have much experience with like the pro tennis atmosphere, so I don't know if that's something that happens in pro tennis as well. But it's cool to see that all the pros just kind of train with each other and hang out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, having been around pro tennis for 50 plus years, um, I noticed that the friendliness and the openness of the pickleball players, they're so accessible. Especially in the Atlanta tournament, you're eating with them. I'm eating right next to, Colin Johns. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was afraid I was going to dribble on my food or something. Here they are, but they're just so friendly. And it just comes so naturally with the game because it's so social. And
Yeah,
I think that they're just that way with everybody, which is
right,
which is a cool thing. I think that separates tennis a little bit because you can't get that close to, Rafael Nadal or Roger or anybody when they were playing. They have just, they're insulated when
right.
I don't think the pro pickleball players are insulated.
Yeah,
They're very accessible. So, what's the change? Everyone was moving to Dreamland, Texas, all the pro players, and now I've heard they're all exiting Dreamland and they're going to South Florida. Is there a reason for that?
that's a great question. I could see the weather being a factor, and but really I think the correlation there is that there's already a bunch of pro tennis academies and stuff like that. And so you had a lot of level tennis players down there. And so when a lot of people started transitioning to pickleball, well, it just so happened to be that the highest concentration of really, really good pickleball players was down in Southeast Florida. And I think I think for someone like Ben specifically, with him transitioning away from Colin, like him moving down to South Florida, where he's got more options like Gabe Tardino, Hayden Patrick Wynn. I don't know if he would ever play with Alshon, but Alshon's there. The Johnsons, like the talent depth down there is just so large, and
Yeah.
it's easy to set up sessions with people. You could be training twice a day, 6 days a week, and playing with some of the best players in the world every time. Getting like a really great variety of play. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah,
Now is Colin and Ben, are they still talking to each other?
I don't know. I'm sure they're brothers. I'm sure they can figure it out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So one last question. So if Ben could be king of pickleball, what changes would you make to the game? What changes would we see?
I would do everything I could to keep the kind of guerrilla feel of pickleball because it's expanding a lot. There's a lot more money coming in. Part of the reason people love pickleball and love the community is because I think it's a little more rambunctious. It's not as prestigious as tennis is. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing for tennis. I think that's a good thing for tennis. Like nothing like watching somebody like Roger Federer play, and tennis just has this like atmosphere of like class and excellence to it. But if pickleball tries to pursue that and like copy it, I think it's going to take some of the really like fun intangibles out of pickleball that made it so popular, and I think it could kind of squash the sport. So I would say figure out how to expand the sport, but keep it wholesome, keep it some of the niche things in there that made it what it is.
Okay, interesting. You use the word gorilla like,
Yeah.
because it can get a maniac situation there. It is different than tennis, and that makes it good. I love tennis still. You were a tennis player. I'm still coaching tennis and pickleball, so I have a love for both sports. Um, and I think that you're right, that they're different and they should remain different. Um, I know the one thing I would change if I was king of pickleball is this thing with the serve. Are you above the waist, below the waist? Are you dropping down? Is your hand down? Is your hand up? Let's just go to a bounce serve. Everybody has to bounce the serve and serve it in. Then you can serve it any way you want.
Right.
This way, it takes all the mystery out of whether it's legal or not legal. To me,
Yep.
that just makes the most sense. Now, I prefer hitting it out of my hand like you do, but I could adjust to letting it bounce and serving it. And that would put everyone on an equal playing field, I believe.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, what are your thoughts?
There's a lot of ambiguity with this serve rule. I'm not so sure. I like the serve being a weapon. So the drop serve concerns me a little bit because I think it could de-weaponize it to some degree. But I don't know how you take the ambiguity out of the service rule, because if they're asking you to keep your paddle below 90 degrees and you got to have a load of high motion, and the ref's trying to watch that with their eyes, that's a very subjective um, form of interpretation there. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is, but I do think they need to make it a little bit more clear.
Yeah. It always seems to be an issue at all tournaments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 1 minute, for instance, Bar, to me, he always looks like he's hitting it above his waist and coming on top of the ball, just the way he winds up and hits it. And he's got one of the biggest serves. And, you know, and they never call it on him. So I just said, okay, let him keep firing.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Somebody, I can't remember if it was Deckel himself, has somebody recording it, but anyway, somebody recorded Deckel's serve in slow motion and played it back, and they were like asking people to look at it and say, is this legal or illegal? And a lot of people were saying, oh, this serve, like watching it with their eyes is illegal. And then they're taking the video and slowing it down, and sure enough, like it's at his waist or below, and he's making contact with it low to high. So that's what makes it so hard to like figure out
Wow.
if people are really faulting or not.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
definitely, I'm sure he's hit some illegal serves. So I'm gonna say that he hasn't hit illegal serves because I think
Yeah.
he has hit more than the average pro has. But